Welcome to Protect, Suicide Prevention Training Podcast for Healthcare Professionals. I'm Manan, consultant psychiatrist, founder, and head of faculty at Progress Guide. Good day, listeners. Today's podcast is an opportunistic recording. On the 14th and 15th of June 2022, we delivered the 7 Safe Steps program. It was attended by around 35 people, and we brought in 4 professional actors. They are Tegan Braithwaite, Charlie Baz, Sami Afuni, and Kyra Thompson. These actors were absolutely brilliant, working on the simulations. They were playing a character called Sandeep, and there are 7 conversations that mental health professionals were practicing. The first conversation is about what matters to me. The second conversation is around scenario planning. The third is around access to means. Fourth one is around family, friends, and follow-up. The fifth one is an emergency plan. The sixth one draws together all of this and builds up a robust safety plan. And the final one is a safety planning conversation, more like a safety cross-check called 127 that is delivered the day before discharge from an inpatient ward. So these professionals mainly work in an inpatient setting. Now, these actors were absolutely brilliant. They brought to life this character Sandeep, and they engaged all these professionals in conversations and also provided feedback after each and every simulation that was carried out. And we saw the confidence level of our professionals rise from actually quite a bit of trepidation right at the very beginning, because no one really enjoys role play. And towards the end, they were absolutely unstoppable. It was something that was brilliant to see. So after 2 days of training, at the end of it all, I caught up with our 4 actors, Tegan, Charlie, Sami, and Kyra, and had a chat with them and recorded the conversation on my iPhone. So the audio quality is not that great, but I think the content is absolutely stellar. We discussed some of the learnings from the course and how central relational safety is to all these conversations. We did end up digressing and started talking about one of the key things that we cover in the course, which is values, as it is at the heart of what matters to people. And we have a huge amount of emphasis in creating that mindset shift from what's the matter with you to what matters to you. It was something we found that the actors also took away from the course. So have a listen. 7 Safe Steps is quite a novel program. It is designed specifically to give staff the confidence that they need to have these critical conversations at a critical juncture in the patient's care pathway. The skills and competence needed to gently nudge a person towards safety by connecting them to their strengths, to their values, to their natural circle of support as they transition from the hospital back out into the community is critical in maintaining their safety. Please feel free to contact us at admin@progress.guide. So let's have a listen to our 4 fabulous actors from the 7 Safe Steps training on the 14th and 15th of June, 2022. I'm today with 4 actors who have just been performing in the 7 Safe Steps program. So I have with me Sami, Charlie, Tegan, and Kyra, sorry, I've been getting it wrong all day, calling her Kyra, who happens to be my best mate. So, but that's why I keep calling you Kyra rather than Kyra. So, we have been engaged in a lot of conversations about suicide prevention, and the actors have been brilliant. So I'll just let them to say a little bit. And today's podcast, we will just capture some reflections from the training that we have been on. And I think this is the first time you've been involved in a suicide prevention. Yep, I'm getting nods all around me. Yeah, so it would be quite good to hear from them as to what they made out of the training program. So, Sami, do you want to go first to start, if you want to start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Sami Afuni. I'm an actor. This was the first time doing something like this. We were here over 2 days playing a character called Sandeep. And Sandeep went through a couple of different things, such as a car crash, and had hallucinations and different anxieties of different relationships between him and his parents and him and his sister and his best friend and ex-girlfriend and so on. And then we had to sit through, obviously, the 7 steps and figure it out and see how things could be better. It was an interesting experience. You know, it was cool to be able to talk to so many different people and see the different styles of communication from them. And everyone was really, really unique in their own style. No one, I wouldn't say anyone was better than the other. And
so not right or wrong, just different.
Yeah, just different. And I feel like I took something from each one.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing,
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think that stood out in your final feedback as well, in kind of your last words of wisdom. Be yourself, because what was it? Bring your own spice.
Yeah, bring your own spice, to be themselves. Because I felt like, you know, when I was connecting with them as a human being, I was able to just then allow myself to be myself. Does that make sense? Yeah. Instead of feeling like they were faking it or something like that.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Who would like to go next?
Sure thing. My name's Tegan Braithwaite. I'm also an actor. Yeah, so Sami was saying we played the role of Sandeep, or Sandeepa for the girls. It was a really interesting 2 days. I think, you know, playing someone with suicide and working those conversations, there's a lot of emotion going on, a lot of things for, you know, the person that's trying to support you to notice. So it can be really difficult for them to sort of navigate those conversations and, you know, really like touch base on what's important. But when they do, and when they're really listening to you, it just provides someone that actually cares and someone that's there to listen for you and sort of can help you piece together the muddle of your brain, I think, because when I'm playing that character, everything feels really muddled and confusing, and you don't really know which way to turn except for, you know,
I really liked it when you would give those soft signs around, you know, those kind of sighs, or those kind of the hand flapping like that, and you kind of sit back and, you know, oh, something's almost punched me in my stomach again, you know, and those who were just following the question slavishly, and those who were genuinely listening were able to pick up on the cue and follow those cues.
And I think that's something, particularly as a woman playing this kind of person, you know, women tend to be, not all the time, but people-pleasing and want to give the right answers. Yeah. So we can respond very, we can mask very well. Yeah. But there are a lot of subtle signs going underneath that sort of the practitioner needs to be able to pick up on. And some people could, and some people, went through the questions. It was interesting.
I did observe that, particularly when we were up there in that top corner where, you know, people in that 127 tool, people were just keen to ask the next question rather than actually maintaining eye contact. And, you know, they were looking down at the book for the question. And I guess that might come with confidence as they become more conversant with the questions, you know, like not having to look down at a book or a paper, but to keep eye contact and be able to respond meaningfully. Oh, it seems like you're finding that really frustrating, or that seems to be making you quite anxious. And so there is work to do in that space, isn't it? Yeah. How about yourself, Charlie?
I definitely came in posing a challenge to everyone who I was with over the past 2 days. Because
yesterday you were a very nice, kind, patient.
Relatively, yeah.
Today you took it up a couple of notches.
I think, especially you know, to juxtapose what Tegan said about you know, being a guy, and especially a male, not many guys talk about their feelings and what they're going through. So I think giving a realistic look at what people might have to deal with when they're in the ward, and which is kind of I wasn't giving a lot to a lot of people, and it was interesting noting when people pushed on certain aspects, or when they kind of were like, oh, okay, well he said no to something 5 times, well, I'll just go to the next question. Which in some cases I did that in the purpose of, well, no, I don't want to talk about it, but I kind of do. I want to talk about things around it, which might get me to talk about the bigger issue, or the, you know, whatever the topic is. But I think comparing the 2 days, just the level of care that I think people initially came into the course with was already quite high, but then that was just amplified on the second day. I think everyone really found like they hit their stride with just talking and honouring that human connection, which was arguably the most important part about it. I think is, look, you've got the questions there, and you can frame them how you want and what works for you. But I think if you miss that human connection, you're everything, like nothing else will matter.
Yeah.
So as long as you nail that, that's the
and I think that was your feedback, isn't it? At the end of the 2 days, like the jump in the confidence.
Yeah.
And you know what is incredible is, because we were doing the post-course evaluation, when I looked back at their pre-course, what they had said, some people rated their confidence as 7.5, 8, in that range. But when we got them to put their minds back to where do you think your competence was at on Tuesday, 7 a.m. before the course began, today they rated themselves as 3s and 4s compared to 7s and 8s. Because people often think that, oh, my skills are here. But actually there is so much more to safety planning. And once they got into it, today you could see that leap, and which overall justifies that rating today of feeling 8.5 on their safety planning. And that insight they have. Actually, 2 days back, I wasn't there. And I think the actors played a big part, because, as I told you all during lunch break, that you all haven't got an axe to grind. So you all can say what, it's like those simulations are almost Sandeep telling them, you know what, I found that really helpful, but that doesn't quite cut it. That doesn't quite feel genuine. How about you, Kyra?
Yeah, it was a really very insightful but also intensive 2 days. I know a lot of us, and me personally, we all have someone we know who's unfortunately committed suicide or has had suicide ideations. Mm-hmm. And I think looking back on their experiences, I know they've always had quite clinical experiences. Mm-hmm. And so it was really interesting coming into this 2-day workshop thinking it was going to be similar, but it was a completely different experience, and it was all around compassion, empathy, really listening to the patient. And I think if a lot more hospitals and healthcare workers, implement these strategies, I think it's going to do a lot of help to these people with those ideations and just mental health issues in general. Mm-hmm. Even as just someone who obviously has not experienced that firsthand, but I think every single one of us has had times where we feel like we can't do something, or we don't feel like we're succeeding at life and everything. Even as a person who has, not as negative thoughts, when someone is truly listening to you, you're going to feel comfortable. And that's what I really felt over these past few days, is that when those healthcare workers really took the time to listen and also shared their own personal experiences, it was so it took you out of the hospital setting and into real life.
Yeah. And all of you are professional actors, so that's a very competitive field, isn't it? And life can be tough, life can be challenging, and you can imagine the same thing with other professions as well. We spend a lot of time talking about healthcare professionals and the high rates of suicide amidst paramedics or doctors, vets, soldiers. And those kind of really high pressure, and particularly actors who are starting out, you do get to see a fair few people who are struggling to make a living on a day-to-day basis. And of course, those who make it big, they make it big, but that doesn't happen overnight. Maybe for some it does happen overnight, I don't know. But life is hard, life is tough. It's not that life is easy, but we have this idea that if you're not happy, there's something wrong with you. How weird would it be if it was 30 degrees all year through? The month dictates the season dictates the climate dictates the weather dictates what's the temperature. But there is almost this, as if happiness is the natural state of existence. Nothing could be further from the truth, right? It's all about ever-changing flow of emotions. That's what is normal. And Talking about emotions, while attending the training, did you all feel your own emotions ebb and flow, your own energies ebb and flow? Because you all had to get into the character all the time, and then you all kind of step out and give feedback as professionals, feeding back to the students, but then have to step back in. How did that feel getting into Sandeep's character?
It was quite easy actually to get into the character from the get-go because everyone was so professional about what they were doing, and it felt like it was actually a real scenario that's happening with myself. And I was speaking to the other actors, and we agreed that even after going home, like we felt a bit of anxiety, a bit of like thoughts coming into our heads coming from this situation. And obviously it's very real, and these things happen to people all the time. And as you said before, like it's not natural to be happy all the time, right? It's actually natural to go through ups and downs, right? And the beautiful thing out of this that I was able to derive is that, is to continue to reaffirm the positive. And anytime you're in a negative, try and find solutions to get out of it so that it doesn't escalate to a situation where, hopefully not, that things go wrong. So that was really cool.
Like most problems, it's very difficult to turn, as Sandeep's story, it's a very difficult scenario. So we can't make the problems go away, but the problems could be perhaps translated into a situation that can be navigated rather than a problem which completely overwhelms you. Yeah, I'm getting lots of nods around the table. So are there things that, I know that you were here as professional actors, kind of helping others to learn. Were there things that you learned yourself, because it's a mental health training course, and some of you were like really kind of watching with intent, and that was quite nice to see. Were there things that you guys took away, or from, things that you might have learned about mental health or suicidal distress?
I think for me, one of the big things was just making, and I know I said it a couple of times, but making really small, actionable tasks that you can take away, just in general as a human, having small things to do that sort of can align with your values, which is something that we talked about at the start, like what matters to you, that having these little things that help you actually make progress in your life to the things that are important to you, that really resonated with me. And
so that whole move from what's the matter with you to what matters to you. And once you get to the heart of that, what matters to you, what is the smallest change I can make, which takes me towards what matters to me. It's, so, and I think that's something you don't need to be in suicidal distress to actually put that into practice. It's something that we can all benefit from, isn't it?
There was actually something that I really loved in the first day that I took from the beginning, and it's going to stick with me, is the whole value and goal thing. How there was the example of two people both going to Disneyland.
Yes.
One of them, the goal is to just get to Disneyland. The other one, the value is to, let's see what's out there on the way to Disneyland. And then at the end of the day, Disneyland was closed. So the person whose goal was to go to Disneyland was upset, but the person who had the values along the way to see the beauty in it, took stuff out of that. So
and knowing that as an actor is so beneficial for characters as well. If we know what their values and goals are, it'll be so much easier to build that subtext behind lines and dialogue.
Like Russ Harris, he's an acceptance and commitment therapy guru. He's an absolute genius. So he has got this short YouTube clip in which he kind of talks about those values. I think Sally changed, Sally is one of our co-facilitators for the listeners. So I think she changed it a little bit. I think Disneyland is open in that video. But what happens is, I think the car breaks down. And when the car breaks down, the person who is values oriented around creativity, and so he's interested in there are other cars, there are other this, there are other that, and so I think Disneyland was open, but it's a beautiful one. So for our listeners who don't know what we are talking about, Google Russ Harris, Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, Values and Goals, and you'll find that video. It's actually a really good video to look at. How about you, Charlie? Anything in particular that you might have taken away?
Really, really honing in terms of what my values are, I think. Especially last night, and I'm sure tonight as well, I'll go home and really kind of, I haven't really updated we all know who we are, but I don't think we always give ourselves the most amount of time to just really sit with that and be like, oh no, yeah, like this is who I've changed, I've grown. So I feel like normally that happens around certain, like maybe, you know, like big massive life events. So maybe like when you graduate school and you're like, oh wow, look who I was 5 years ago now versus now, or oh, I'm 18 now, or I'm 21, or, you know, maybe it's an age thing. But I think just taking a step back and realizing what you actually value and if you're actually giving those things the right amount of time as well. It's something that I know I've been personally kind of navigating at the moment in my own life around, you know, where I put most of my time, and I was in a situation where I was giving a lot of my time for something that I wasn't actually enjoying as much as I thought I would. But I convinced myself that I was going to enjoy it and that I should be. But then there was that weird thing when your brain's saying, no, you should be enjoying this, but your heart's like, but I'm not really in it. And so I think from a values standpoint, and like, you know, who I am, and I'm sure who we all are, it's just really important to identify what those values are, and that they're always changing, and that they're allowed to change, I think.
Yeah. And as actors, you guys, you know, courage. You need a lot of courage to do what you guys do, right?
Resilience.
Resilience, creativity, you know, like you know, that's so central when life's not going great, to be able to remind yourself, what is it I do? Why do I do it? How do I actually do the hard yakas of life when, you know, I know this is what gives me joy, this is what brings me pleasure. But at the moment, life's not going well. And as actors, you all do have those ups and downs, and being able to draw on those values. I was just wondering, playing certain characters, do you all ever get into situations where you have a bit of a values conflict? You know, you have to play a character which doesn't sit well with your values as who you are as a person, but you have to put yourself into a different, you know, get into character with a different value set, almost diametrically opposite to who you are. How do you all navigate those situations?
I figure out what in my life could have gone differently to put myself into that like mindset and circumstances. Like, what would motivate me to act the way this person is acting? The way I've been brought up, I would not do, you know, such a thing. Say it's, you know, some serial killer or something in some horror film. But like, there is a reason why someone would actually do that in real life. It happens in real life every day. So I would go, okay, what would motivate me to commit such a crime? You know, would it be my upbringing? Would it be if my parents treated me differently? And there's a logical reason behind every action, even if it seems inane on the surface. Because,
you know, we had this discussion about the source of pain in people who are suicidal. Where does that pain come from? And it's not that different in terms of trying to get a sense of, you know, what is driving this person to do such horrible things, you know, the character in a movie or a serial opera. So like that doesn't sound that different, because we are also trying to figure out the source of pain for the person, and you are trying to figure out as well what would be driving that character to do such stuff, which then gives you the insight that you need in order to, I guess, play that role which doesn't sit well with you. It was lovely chatting to you guys, and, you know, like, it was so great to have professional actors, and as I said many times during the course, you guys didn't have any axe to grind. You all just gave it as you received it. It was a lot of it was positive feedback, and I think that has an impact on people's ability, confidence to have those. You know, people don't like role plays because all these eyes are watching, but you all made it so natural. It was so authentic, and I think the people have gone away with a lot. It showed in their actual quantitative scoring. People felt they were 3s and 4s. 36 hours back, and they are now rating themselves as 7s and 8s and 9s. And that, I think a lot of that credit goes to you guys, how comfortable you all made them feel. You got them to open up, talk about the things which actually sometimes in the business of the ward, they often are not able to do. So practicing these conversations here, I'm sure will give them a lot of confidence to do them back out there.
Yeah, and thank you to you as well for making it easy for us to understand. And
it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Us, yeah.
My life was made very easy by the quality of the actors we have got in the room.
you should be a director.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's my next course of action that I need to take. I often say that teaching is a bit of a performance because we were having a bit of a joke over lunchtime that There are no bad students, only bad teachers. Because if someone's falling asleep in your class, it's got to do with you as the teacher rather than the student. So, but we had a good crowd, and we're quite blessed with the quality of the doctors and the nurses and the OTs and the psychologists we have here in Metro South. But it was good fun, and thank you all so much. And I'm sure our paths will cross again at a next course, hopefully. We are diversifying our product into schools. We just picked up something really big in Hong Kong with English Schools Foundation. So a course that we'll be delivering over Zoom. I think I'll be getting in touch with hopefully your agents regarding the 22nd of August. I think that's the day. But it will be over Zoom, so it will be different kind of challenges. But
you do love a challenge.
Yes, yeah. I'm hoping that we'll get the same set of 4 people, so we can because you all know the character, so you all will know the drill. So, but that would be with school counselors, so a different group. We might create a new character, but you all know what we are talking about. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. That was Sami, Tegan, Charlie, and Kyra. 4 fabulous people, fabulous actors. They were awesome and brought to life those 7 conversations which we believe are critical in safety planning and supporting a person's journey to recovery. The conversations may seem very simple. The first conversation, what matters to me? The questions that the professionals were asking were very simple. What is important to me? What brings a smile to my face? What do I want to achieve? Who are the people that matter to me? What are the places I want to go to? Questions that would make a person reflect and open up. And then they would go deeper, get into the values. What are the qualities I want to bring to my actions? What do I want to stand for in life? How do I want to treat myself and others? What kind of person do I want to be at work or home? How do I want to behave in the face of challenges? Who do I want to be? And in all of that, bringing back to what matters to me and trying to communicate in a very simple way, a complex message, that pain is nature's way of communicating that something that is important to me is currently amiss. If it weren't important, it would not have caused this much pain. All in all, the source of pain often overlaps with the source of hope, but it needs a set of nuanced skills for a professional to show this to the person, because often it is in the person's blind spot. Having simulations and role plays is absolutely essential in bringing the competence and the confidence that professionals need to have these conversations. If you all are interested in hosting 7 Safe Steps at your own institution, please get in touch either on LinkedIn. You can Google progress.guide or Google my name, Dr. Manan Kar-Ray, or email me directly at admin@progress.guide. We look forward to hearing from you, your suggestions, your advice, your recommendations, and any questions you may have. Till we meet again next Friday on the Protect Podcast, please do keep sharing the word and share the link to this episode to those who you believe might benefit. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.